sad and hilarious, and yes, that can happen simultaneously, that Ben Cherington was placed there in the press conference room to conduct a press conference for the firing of a couple coaches and a strength and conditioning guy. But then that's not why it happened. Good morning to you. Good Thursday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Pirates. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and hockey, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Penguins. No, the real reason for the press conference was so that Cherington could find a way to let everyone know that, yes, he did in fact get the approval of both Bob Nutting and Travis Williams to say that Derek Shelton's going to be back. But that was only the beginning of the embarrassment that would ensue, because nowhere in there did he acknowledge that Nutting and Williams also, in turn, are keeping him on board, because that would imply that he would have been in trouble, which would in turn imply that he wasn't very good at his job, which would in turn imply that his process is faulty. So he sits there and he answers question after question after question. And other than one set of vague, it's all on me, I've got to do a better job set of statements, he didn't come within a solar system of actual accountability. And by that, I'm not just referring to 5 years of epic failure. I'm even talking about 2025. Listen to his answer and listen to it carefully as it relates to Shelton.
I believe he can help lead us towards winning in 2025. I believe that. I believe he already does a lot of aspects of the job very well and at a high level. I believe he works as hard as any manager in the game. I certainly believe he cares as much as any manager in the game. Like all of us, certainly including me, he has targets that he needs to improve on, and I believe he's fully aware of those. I believe he's very committed to working on those. I believe he understands that ultimately the team needs to respond to him, and we'll go into 2020, 2025 together, accountable together, and I'm excited for that. I'm excited for the work ahead.
Now, there's two things to pick out of there, I think. One is that phrase about working toward winning, which ended up going pretty much viral on local social media. Even the Washington Wild Things, the Frontier League team, just south of our city, seized upon this with a social posting of their own, mentioning their own recent championships and saying that they're not, quote, working toward, end quote, winning. They're just winning. And that's the kind of talk that people in Western Pennsylvania can respect. The other thing to pick out of there was that two-word phrase about being accountable together. Now, I might be overreading here, but that sounds like, listen, you're going to tether yourself to him, or he's going to tether himself to you. If you don't win, you're gone. But then that's what would happen in a normal franchise. Or the conversation wouldn't have occurred at all, because they'd all be gone. Because it's not just about failed free agency, failed trades, failed development, failed instruction, and all that other failure. It's also a failure to account for anything. If you're working toward winning, then you're going, what, from 76 wins to 78? I mean, they live, I keep telling you this, they live in their own isolated world, and they tell each other this kind of stuff. So to them, it's completely okay to sit there and say this sort of thing in front of cameras and microphones, because it's how they communicate. I'm not guessing when I tell you that they think we're nuts. 3 more absolute gems from this press conference, and I just can't resist. One of them, these are all direct quotes. This one is, "We are winning more games," end quote. They won 76 of them in 2023. They won 76 of them in 2024. Well, at least he was right to fire the advanced analytics person, because the math is really starting to slip. Another one, quote, there's been clear evidence of improvement, end quote. What is that? What is that? I mean, if I was forced at gunpoint to produce some sort of clear evidence of improvement, like if my life depended on it, I could come up with 2 words to acknowledge it. Paul Skeens. That's it. That's it. Skeens arrived, Jared Jones arrived, O'Neal Cruz returned, Brian Reynolds continued to be an all-star, Andrew McCutchen continued to be a productive player, and they still finished with the same win total, which only tells you how awful everything else is around them. And by that, I don't mean that all of the players are awful. I'm talking about the entire system, or the entire process, if one will. I've got one more, and I'm going to try to make this one brief because this is one of those that burns me up. He made a reference to, here again, direct quote, doing this sort of thing in a place like Pittsburgh. He said that, in a place like Pittsburgh. He was referring to the market size. What he meant when he said that, because he said it before and he's spelled out the context, is the amount that he feels can be reasonably spent on payroll, or the amount that Nottingham allots him for payroll. In a place like Pittsburgh. 5 of the 11 bottom payroll teams in Major League Baseball were in the playoffs this year. 5 of 11. The Brewers are in every year because the GM in Milwaukee was the guy who should have gotten the job here. And he has the audacity to bring up the city as if it's the city's size that's at fault here. Amazing, just amazing. Also amazing that anyone thought this was a good idea to have him speak. When we come back, J1Q.
It's Gun Storage Check Week. Help prevent unwanted access to your firearms. No one wants their unsecured gun to be used in an accident, a suicide, or a crime. Use lockboxes, safes, and locks to secure your firearms. Learn more at gunstoragechek.org. That's gunstoragechek.org. Brought to you by NSSF, the Firearm Industry Trade Association.
Today's J1Q, I'll get to it eventually, but there were 2 other good ones that I'm just not going to let them go. Tim says, has anyone heard from TC the beer vendor? Is he okay? Did he survive the purge? Oh, yeah, there was a lot of this. Tom says, can the Pirates answer the bullpen phone faster if they're stronger? Wow! That's a 2-for-1 there for Tom. And Rob, with our actual J1Q for the day, says, DK, honest question, who should we write to? I might be only one voice, but I'd like to have my say. Oh, and by the way, fire them all. Rob, I don't know if it's a matter of writing. I don't know if it's a matter of, GoFundMeing something. There have been people who've sent stuff my way about trying to collect money for a billboard that they would put up, a Sell the Team billboard that would be somewhere visible near PNC Park so that Bob Nutting could see it when he comes into work. There have been other ideas put forth. I know that there's supposed to be some protest on Friday. There's supposed to be another one on Grant Street on Monday, or maybe I've got them mixed up. I know that people are mad, and I know that it's not going to just go away because Cherington sat at a table yesterday and told us, hey, guess what? You're stuck with us, which was the only purpose to repeat for that press conference. It's not going to fade. This one's bad. I'm hearing from people, not just around Pittsburgh. I'm hearing from people across Western Pennsylvania. I've heard from a couple of government types. I've heard from people on the other side of the country. I got communications from Los Angeles, from Pasadena, people who are really looking to make a difference here somehow. And although I I appreciate people asking me, like, what should we do? I'm not the leader here. I'm not the ringleader. Okay, I have an opinion. I do this show. I write columns. I report. I own and operate a company that reports. And if you somehow are successful in putting something together that causes enough waves, I'll report on it. I'll share an opinion on it. There are lots and lots of ways in 2024 for people to hook up if they care enough, even to the extent that you don't need to be here. You can be pretty much anywhere. And as I've told people who are on our site on DK Pittsburgh Sports and our commenting community, if you want to use that to somehow get your message out or to talk to each other, go nuts. Go nuts. All I'm going to say here today, one more time, is that if anyone's response to any of this is, I'm just not going to go to the games, you're not going to effect the change. You're not going to move the needle even the tiniest, even if you believe or don't believe that you could make a difference. That's the one way to be sure that you won't. Why? Because the default mode at PNC Park is lots and lots of empty seats. So you staying away is just status quo. In any setting, in any circumstance, when people want to push for change with no guarantees, they make themselves seen, they make themselves heard, they reach out to leaders, they reach out to, in general, people of influence. Maybe they're famous people, maybe they're political, whatever, but they make a stink. This team needs to be sold. This team needs to be sold. I've seen enough. More than enough. This is my 20th year on the beat, and as such, I've covered all of Nutting's tenure as controlling owner. He has gone too far with this. He has exposed both himself and the Pirates as a non-serious thing. And it's inconceivable to me that in a city like Pittsburgh, any owner can just feel all cozy and comfortable about doing that. I appreciate all of the questions that came in. I appreciate everybody who listens to Daily Shot of Pirates. We will be back with another one tomorrow.